So I used to be an Absolver pro back in the day. No joke, I would stream it on Twitch for like 8 hours a day like it was a full-time job and just beat the ever-living crap out of people while a virtual audience cheered me on live. Unfortunately, eventually the game died and with it my streaming career, rest in peace BizQuick 2017 to 2021, but that's besides the point. Fast forward to now and Sifu, Absolver's successor, has become the game that everyone all of a sudden knows about and is playing and streaming on Twitch. So coming from someone who just recently played Sifu, and with over 200 hours in Absolver, why did Sifu succeed where Absolver failed? Well, firstly, we need to go back to Absolver's launch to see where the faults started to occur. You see, Absolver was a PvP-focused game with PvE elements, not at all like Sifu's streamlined storyline and set pieces. With Absolver, you created your character and went through different areas doing generic PvE content up until the point where you feel like you've mastered enough martial arts moves and feel comfortable enough to graduate to PvP. At least, that was the idea. And it sounds like a good enough idea to work with, right? Well, the problem I feel was in its execution. Firstly, learning martial arts moves was an extreme pain in the ass. You had to continually block or parry the move consistently to fill up this bar to the point where you would eventually learn the move for yourself. And as you can imagine, doing this against NPCs where their moves were randomized was just such a crapshoot. Oh my god, please do the move I want. No, not that move. So then the most effective way was just to get a player who knew all the moves to teach them to you one by one, which honestly is just straight up not a fun way to play the game. Then the deck building, while a cool idea, again was very poorly executed. The idea of creating a character with their very own fighting moves that you learned from fighting others is such a cool one. But again, like I already said, the process of learning the moves was straight up tedious. But then the deck itself, well, you have 4 different stances, all with their own custom movesets that come with each stance, which then chain into other specific types of moves. Oh, and don't forget to press the button at the right time to chain them together quickly, and it all just becomes very convoluted very quickly. That's not to mention the game's outright bugginess and terrible launch. So many people were hyped to play Absolver when it first came out that the game's servers just couldn't handle it, leaving many people straight up unable to launch the game and connect to the servers. And even when they did, they would randomly be booted for no reason during gameplay. On top of all of that, the PvE content was just straight up lacking. There wasn't enough. All of the content could easily be completed within a couple of hours, and even then, the PvE content wasn't particularly good in the first place. So if you weren't into Absolver for the PvP, which a lot of people weren't, then you were done with the game after a few short hours. Don't get me wrong, I played the game a lot myself, but I was not your average Absolver player. 1, I was a streamer, where people were willing to teach me all the moves I needed to PvP, and 2, I really got into the game's combat, and while there was definitely a cult following, not many other people did, leading to the game's eventual downfall. So what does all this have to do with Sifu? Sifu comes in here and says, nah, none of that complicated garbage. Boom, you want to do a combo? Just tap and oh, but you think the game's easy then? Nope, you get parries, sidesteps, finishers, combos, throwable objects, weapons, and the list goes on. Now, Absolver did share some similarities within Sifu's combat. It had parries, dodges, and weapons too. But the difference between the two is the simplicity within Sifu's combat, while still retaining all of what made Absolver's combat fun. Within Absolver, you couldn't parry and dodge moves at the same time. No, either you choose the dodging school or you choose the parry school. There was no in between. Sifu said, nope, we're giving you both tools and you're going to have to use both to make it to the end of the game. Every single hit feels visceral and satisfying.
Hit me. Oh my god, bitch! Oh my. Sit. Come here. Come here. Bah, bah. Get up. Punch you some more. God, that is cool.
There's no deck building or having to learn martial arts moves through some stupid-ass, tedious method. No. You want to learn a move? Boom, you unlock it in the menu right there and you have it. Upon hearing Slow Clap made Sifu a single-player experience, I was initially disappointed. I wanted them to give multiplayer another try. But after playing Sifu, I understand why it was the right move. The set pieces within this game are just masterfully done. The club has this techno music blasting throughout as you rhythmically beat down your enemies one by one. Or the botanist level, going with a foresty vibe with all the lush greenery everywhere. Or the tower level, with very drab corporate vibes on the surface level, but then a sinister cave network underneath. Each level feels reflective of the bosses that reside at the end. These set pieces wouldn't have been possible if they didn't make the game single player. If they had to divide their attention between PvE and PvP based content, I really don't think the single player would have turned out as well as it did. Then on top of all of this, they made an aging mechanic where the more you die, the older you get within the game. The older you get, the more damage you do against your enemies, but then the less health you have and more brittle you are. And with age, you become unable to learn certain moves that you could have been able to learn when you were younger. So even if there are only 5 levels, and I was able to play through 4 of the game's 5 levels within 3 hours, there's some serious replayability here as I felt obligated to go back and see if I could get through the other levels without dying as much, so that I could retain my youth while getting further and further in the game. And that is no easy task. You're going to have to master the combat in order to do so. But because the combat just feels so visceral and epic, you want to become a Sifu master. This one scene in the game perfectly describes how I feel about Sifu. You enter the room and there's just this hallway full of enemies staring back at you. The music swells as the tension builds and then you just...
Oh yeah? Sit! Sit! Get up!
Oh shit!
Give me this! Sit! God!
Sifu just feels like Slow Clap took everything they learned that was wrong with Absolver, fixed every single problem, made the game single player, and then said, guys, we did it. I freaking love this game, and I'm glad Slow Clap was finally able to master what made Absolver so much fun to begin with. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and by the way, if you're trying to catch me play these games live, head on over to my live stream channel, link in the description. Been streaming games there almost every day, so I really hope to see some of you guys there. With that, don't forget to like and subscribe, because I got more Sifuing that needs doing.
Oh shit! Oh my god! I'm getting gangbanged! Woo!
Holy shit!
Give me this. Sit! 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 Sit!